So you just also shared about a bit of your naivety at the time, not knowing how things worked in Canada. And then you shared earlier that, when you came to Canada, you didn't really know what you wanted to do. You didn't know you didn't really research that much. But then you said you gave your life to Christ and then you started reading books, started learning more. So I believe that in Canada, you can only go, maybe not just in Canada, in life and in Canada, you can only go as far as you know.
Yes, yes,
So,
that's true.
so where did you start researching to start learning about how do things work in Canada? What I want to do with my life? How do I now start plotting this vision for, not just getting a job, you had gotten a job now, but like, becoming a better person. You said you were reading books, but like were there any pivotal moments? Were there any books that stood out to you that just transformed your thinking? And like what has that process of transformation and becoming informed about how to live your life and how to build a life in Canada? What has that been like for you?
Honestly, I would say the biggest book that has influenced my life the most has been the Bible. I just believe, like, it's true what the Bible says that, be like children. Like he said, let all children come to me, for theirs is the kingdom of God. He's not talking about little children literally, he's talking about us.
Hmm.
I just believe the Bible because so this is the way I think, and this is back then, and this is still the way I still think. When I was with the devil, when I was an unbeliever,
Okay.
I'll go to club, I would dance a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I would get drunk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would drink alcohol a lot. I would like I went the whole 9 years, smoke, do all sorts of crazy things. Then when I became born again, I thought to myself that okay, I started reading the Bible. And I saw like all the promises that God, and I believe it literally, like James 1:5, he said, if any of you lack wisdom, let him
Hmm.
ask God that gives freely to all. So in my mind, when I read that, I just thought to myself that, okay, he said he will give freely to me. He said, all I just need to do is ask.
Wow.
And I just believed it that, okay, my job is to ask,
Hmm.
his job is to do, right? So I just believed the word of God literally.
Hmm.
And I still believe it like literally, right? Like, so I would say, number one, the word of God.
Hmm.
And back then, when I tell people that, oh, things will work out for me, even though I was telling church people, church
Hmm.
folks, I would call
Yeah.
it quote unquote church folks that have been around the block for a long time. Some of them would make fun of me and laugh and say, "Oh, it's because it just became born again." That's how
Hmm.
they always do. Like, there's this like, "Oh, he's excited, it's
Yeah.
excitement," right? Like, so they will always say, I always sound crazy to them when I talk to them because to
Hmm.
me, I always what I used to think about was that are we reading the same Bible? Like, is it
Wow.
not the same Bible I'm reading? Because
Hmm.
when I tell them that things will work out for me, they would laugh like, "Oh,
Hmm.
this guy has come again. Like, he has come again to motivate us." And for me, I'm not motivating you.
Yeah.
I'm just literally
Telling
saying
you what I believe. Yeah.
what is in the Bible, like what I read. Like, it's
Hmm.
just simple, right? So I would say that was what started the journey for me,
Hmm.
and it was more reading the Bible, listening to pastors. One guy I used to listen to a lot that I still listen to today, TD Jakes. I
Hmm.
would
My
listen
husband is
to
a
TD
fan. Yeah.
Jakes material. I
Yeah.
would consume Pastor Adeboye's material.
Hmm.
Because if people say that, oh, because having faith and believing the Bible, like literally, is being motivational, then Pastor Adeboye is a motivational speaker, honestly,
Hmm.
because he just talks about the Bible in a
Very
simple,
simply.
clear
Yes.
manner. Like, God, believe him, things will happen for you.
Hmm.
Trust, like that's exactly what I do. Like I
Hmm.
just believed it. And I started reading books
Hmm.
because it was in books that I found that I read this quote by this guy, this neurosurgeon, this black neurosurgeon, I've forgotten his name now.
I know
Um,
the one who separated Siamese twins.
Gifted Ants, yeah, I
Yes.
wrote the book Gifted Ants. So I read this quote by him that
Ben
he
Carson.
said, Ben Carson,
Yeah.
he said, a library card will take you farther than a driver's license.
Hmm.
And the moment I read that, I was like, this is true.
Hmm.
You know, to tell you that, like, I still remember like yesterday, he said a library card will take you further than a driver's license. And I thought, because if you now Google search that quote to on dig deeper to understand. Basically, you can get into the minds of legends,
Yeah.
top business moguls just by
Mm.
reading their books,
Yeah.
right? So, and so I thought, okay, I need to start consuming material. So I started reading books,
Mm.
and I read this book, How to Make Friends and Influence People.
Love that book. Yeah.
And that book was like, you know, changed a lot of things for me,
Yeah.
because I started learning about, it talked about communication. So I
Mm.
wanted to improve my communication skills, and I joined Toastmasters. So I started getting around people who who didn't look like me physically,
Yeah.
and who were also born in Canada, who grew up in Canada. They have like the ancestral lineage in Canada. So I was always asking them questions, having conversations with them, talking to them, and reading books. I kept reading books, and I kept and reading the Bible, and it kept strengthening my faith, my belief, my positive mindset, and that was how the journey began for me. And because I wouldn't say that I really surrounded myself with a lot of people, Nigerians that look like me. Fine, I go to a Nigerian church
Mm.
um, at the time, but I wasn't, I didn't even know anything about having a mentor. Like,
Mm.
you know, so those people that I read their books were more like my mentors,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I was buying a lot of books. I was always going to Tallis.
Mm.
Um, I'll
Oh
go to
yeah.
Tallis.
Yeah.
There's this store in very close to McMaster. They sell thrift books. I'll go there. I made the woman my friend, so I'll buy thrift books.
Yeah.
Um, I would also go to Value Village. I'll go
Mm.
to their book section to look for
Mhm.
like motivational books,
So even on a
and
budget,
also
you were
leadership.
reading. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I was buying books because they were cheap. Like I would buy them for like $1,
Wow.
um, or even cents. Like I'll
Hmm.
buy them for cents. So yeah, books changed my
Yes.
life. Good books,
Yeah.
and then I started when I started working at RBC downtown. Then
Mhm.
I was fortunate to meet this woman who told me that, David, if you forget everything I've told you, and interestingly, I forgot everything that she told me, but because she placed emphasis on this, she said, network, 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 network.
Mm.
She said network as if your life depends on it, because it does.
Hmm.
And I went ballistic on networking. I started, reaching out to people, doing coffee chats. I started reading books about how to network effectively. I read
Mm.
this book called Click. Um, it taught me about, how to do it. And also then I revisited how to make friends and influence people. And yeah, so I don't know if that answered your question, but that's how the journey has been.
Very much so. I was going to ask for book recommendations, but it was almost like you read my mind and you ended up with, I guess some of the ones that transformed you at the time. So Click and How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Influence people, yeah.
You add anything else to that list?
And Think and Grow Rich. That book is actually very good. Think
Okay.
and Grow Rich.
Okay.
And also this guy I also used to listen to. I've not listened to him in a while now. Brian Tracy.
Hmm.
Eat That Frog. He wrote that book.
I know
Wrote the
that one.
book Eat
Yeah.
That Frog. Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember now. Les Brown. Les Brown was I still listen to him till today.
Hmm.
Les Brown. Um, yeah, and I just listen to a lot of motivational videos. Like there are some that, they're like a lot of them on YouTube.
Yeah.
You will see them, different people talking, voiceovers. Those
Yes.
things are actually really good. At least for me,
I see
they
all your
really help.
shares on Instagram and I know that you listen to a lot of motivational stuff. It just
Yeah.
flows out of you, which is so interesting. So is this what is was it the advice on networking that led you to starting the Fresh Start Hub? Because I know that um that is a big part of what you do now and you're there's many parts to it. One part is you're talking to leaders in different spheres and sharing their stories, inspiring people, but also learning yourself. At the same time, you're addressing a serious problem in the immigrant
Hmm.
community, which is underemployment. But what led you towards the Fresh Start Hub, and what's the story there about how it started and what you're doing now?
Um, Fresh Starter was an idea I had in 2018, but I was just sitting on it. I even asked Obiora to help me design logo. I was at his house till around midnight that day. Um, but I didn't start. I thought I used that as an excuse that, oh, you know what, at least I've designed the logo. And then I had the name. I even bought a domain, but it expired. So um, I didn't start. I didn't start Fresh Start for a while. I was afraid. I was scared. I wasn't sure the direction I wanted to take. Then COVID happened in 2020,
Mm,
and I saw that a lot of people had lost their jobs, and I came across the study by YWCA about people that have been disproportionately impacted, and immigrants were one of those people. And then I thought, okay, what can I do? How can I support? And I thought, you know what, let me even find out whether there's a real problem here. So I started doing more research and I saw that, okay, there's a real problem. And the problem was, the problem of underemployment and unemployment, but underemployment played a more critical role. So I
mhm,
thought, okay, what can I do to help? How can I support? Number one, I'm not a certified coach, so I didn't want to go the route of, oh, I'm a career coach and all that. So I didn't want to do that. Um, and that's for my own reason. I'm not faulting anyone who are people who are career coaches, but I just didn't want to go that route. And I thought, you know what, the first starting point is to give people hope. People who have lost their jobs, who have been impacted by COVID-19, how can we give them hope? And also, a lot of people were always complaining to me that, oh, I'll reach out to people on LinkedIn, they won't respond. I will connect with people on LinkedIn, they will respond. And for me, I thought to myself that, but I reach out to people that respond. Yes, I get a lot of no's, like way more than, but for me, maybe a combination of the books I've read and also my personality, I see no as not yet. Like you can't see it on my forehead. Like, it's not written on people's forehead. You can't know the number of no's I've received today, anyways. Um, so why not just ask and be the conduit to help these guys who are not getting responses from people on LinkedIn and ask the questions that they would have loved to ask those people, that they would love to connect with. Ask them the questions and share the conversation with the world, you know. And that was what led down, what started me on that journey. I remembered
yeah.
when I wanted to start, my wife asked me, she said, what if nobody listens to it? I said, but you will listen to it, right?
Well,
She said, she said, but I don't want to be, I want to be honest with you. There are days I may not listen to it because I hear your voice all the time at home. So, she said, but what will happen? I said, for me, even if it's one person that listens to it and they got something from it, that's fine for me. I'm not doing it to become famous. I'm not doing it to make quick buck.
mm,
I'm doing it to help someone out there, right? So then that was how the journey started. I remember the first. I still, because I counted it, I still have the emails. I still see them. I sent out over 300 requests to be a guest on the podcast, and people kept saying,
300.
yeah, I got ghosted. I got no's. I got people question me and told me. Interestingly, I even asked people that were close to me that I respected and, I admired, that were my friends. And I asked them to be a guest and they said no, like, interestingly. And I don't blame, honestly, I don't have any animosity against them. I still talk to them. They're still my friends. But I think that they didn't see what I saw,
Mm,
and maybe I didn't articulate what I was trying to um,
to
um,
do.
achieve to them. So they said no. Even one of them told me no, and he told me, oh, I want to stay off social media for some time. And
Hmm.
then 2 weeks later, I saw his picture on a poster for an event, and I was like, oh wow. speaking of staying away from social media, from internet for some time, but
Oh my goodness.
I can laugh over it now. Honestly, I wasn't mad at the person. I felt odd, yes, but I just thought, okay, this person has made me understand that they
Mm,
don't believe in this vision, which is okay.
mm.
But I'm gonna keep going anyways. And complete strangers were the first people to say yes.
Wow.
They have never even met me before, and I'm truly, truly indebted to them. Dami Eluyera,
Mm,
Aziz Garuba, Nkechi Nwafo Robinson.
mm,
Those were the first group of people to say yes to me. Tobi Oluwole.
mm.
Those were the first group of people to say yes to me. I've never met Tobi Oluwole in person before in my life.
Oh,
The
yeah.
first time I met Aziz Garuba in person was maybe 2 months ago.
Mm,
Um, I've I've not met Nkechi Nwafo Robinson in person that
mm.
we talked ever till today.
Wow.
So that's what the journey has taught me, that the people that would, help you most of the time are not people you know. Um, but that's how the journey started. And then a few months after we started the podcast, we said, you know what, let's. I spoke to a few people. They said, let's do this. We hosted an event,
Wow.
and we saw over 300 people sign up for the first event, and I was like, wow,
Wow.
people actually need help.
Yeah.
And that was what led us down this journey, down this path of helping internationally trained professionals navigate their career journey faster through all the free resources we provide, workshops, the podcasts, events, even job board. We have a job board right now where we post jobs. Um, so we and we've been doing that now. Interestingly, it's going to be 3 years this year, and
Wow.
it's just
Congrats.
been an interesting ride. And so far, I've interviewed over 150 people on the podcast, including
Flight
senior
flex.
executives
Okay.
from
Wow.
Fortune 500 companies, and we have over 50,000 downloads and listen on the podcast
That's amazing. Wow. Such
without spending a dollar on marketing,
that.
except organic, like pushing it on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
That's incredible. Well, well done. It's always,
thank you.
I mean, at the beginning of starting anything new, sometimes visionaries seem like a little bit of like mad people or like
Yeah,
insane in some ways. So kudos to you that you kept going.
thank you.
Um, I feel like you're a resilient person by nature. Like you don't really you bounce back pretty easily and it comes across when you're in your response to challenges and also when you're speaking to people like keep going like that I almost feel like it's a muscle that most people have to train, but it seems like you have an extra portion of it in you that you just want to keep going when things happen.
It's a combination of gene. I don't know. Honestly, but looking back, I'll say like maybe gene. That I don't know.
Like whether by nature
Um,
that's just how you are.
nature, and also books. Because I will read about, because in my head, the way I think about it is, oh, um, what's the guy that built this theme park in Florida? Walt Disney, right?
Disney, there we go. So,
Yeah, so he was rejected. He wasn't granted loan over, he was rejected over 400 times or something.
wow.
You know, that's what I read. A couple of people like that,
So you
like
feel like these are your
who
forerunners. If they've
yeah.
been.
So I just used to think that, oh, I've not even. There's one guy.
Mhm.
Um, I'm trying to remember now. I think, yeah, before the book, yeah, this woman that wrote this famous book, J.K. Rowling. Yes, J.K. Rowling.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Yes,
How did you?
yes, yes.
Yes.
Harry Potter. So J.K. Rowling, she was
Mm,
rejected multiple times.
mm.
If you read her story, she was rejected, I think, yeah, multiple times. Electricity that we saw today, the guy failed over 1,000 times.
That's true. Yeah.
So those are the things I think about that. Well, they
Mm,
kept trying, they tried,
yeah.
because the question people were asking me why I believe that I was close, when I believed that I was close to a yes, was at first people were ghosting me, people would just say no,
Hmm.
say I'm not interested. Then
Hmm.
later people will start asking me, okay, how many people have I interviewed? And I'll
Really?
tell them. yeah, like people ask me, can you send me the link to your
Podcast.
past podcast? And
Hmm.
I will say you'll be the first person. And they will say, okay, thank you, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Or people come up with excuse that, oh, this time is very busy for me right now. Maybe you follow up again in the coming month, and they don't know that the person they are talking to is crazy. I will follow up. I will just put you in my calendar. I'll just put your name, your email. I'll just go to my immediately I see the email. I'll
Yeah.
just go to my calendar and count like 8 months forward and put it there. Follow up with so person. Check the email. I'll just put it there and I'll save it. So when is that day? I will be reminded. I'll be okay. I will send the person an email.
Hmm.
So when I knew I was close was when people started asking me. They were inquiring more.
Hmm.
They'll say, "Oh, you know what? Um, how many podcasts have you done?" I would say, no, I've not done anyone. You'll be the first guest. Do you want to be a
Hmm.
guest?
Hmm.
And some will pass
Wow.
until I reached out to, I think, Aziz Garuba. And
Hmm.
Aziz said, okay, let's do it. I see you post on LinkedIn a couple of times. I think you're a
Hmm.
nice guy. And he said we should do it. And that was how we did it. And then, so I just knew that I needed that first guest because
Hmm.
interestingly, all the people that were telling me, have you found anyone? Have you done any episode before? So I waited until I did five. Then I reached out to them and said, hey, I've done this. Go check it out. And some of them said yes.
Wow.
Some of them still didn't say yes. But that was how I kept going
Hmm.
and I kept pushing. And yeah,
That's incredible. Again, resilience. And in all of it, you can just hear it's, you saw people who have gone ahead of you that had done this thing. It wasn't that they didn't have a good idea. It wasn't that they did not know what to do. It just took the right opportunity. And then again, when you've done over 400 revisions to your loan application as well, Disney, or for 1,000 iterations to your electricity experiment, you're kind of getting better each time, whether it's at the experiment. So like you're refining yourself at the same time. So it's so much to learn. Thank you, Shegun, David,
yeah,
for
you're
sharing
welcome.
so generously. Okay, you've interviewed over 150 people, you said. So, what have you, are they largely immigrants as well, or how do you decide who to interview?
Yeah, so they're either immigrants or um, they were brought to Canada as a
Mm,
child. So
okay.
which I still call them immigrant, and they saw the struggle. They
Yeah.
saw the struggle of their parents.
Right, yeah.
I've had people, executives, I've had them on the podcast, and they start crying when they think back on their journey.
Wow.
With the parents, how their parents had to struggle and all
Yeah.
that. So they saw it firsthand. They
Mm,
experienced it. Some of them didn't. Majority of them didn't grow up in the best of you know they didn't have the best upbringing. I mean,
mm,
financially,
yeah, yeah.
but they've been able to make something great for themselves. Um, and I've also interviewed people who came to Canada as immigrants and
Mhm,
they've grown their career to leadership level.
mm,
I've also interviewed people who have not grown their career to leadership level, but they are thriving. For
yeah.
example, like Rennie,
Mm,
she's doing a fantastic job helping other people with their finances,
yes.
and so she's been a guest on the podcast. So I interview immigrants who are doing fantastic things, who are
Mm,
young,
yeah.
and they are also visionaries.
Mm,
So those are the people I interview on the podcast.
yeah. By the way, you probably should be writing your own book soon with some of these experiences you've garnered from these multiple people that you're talking to and your own life experiences as well. Maybe I can be the one that planted that seed if it wasn't already planted.
Of course.
Okay. But from the people you've spoken to, are there any standout stories or just like or even themes that connect them when you think about their journeys to thriving in their career, their journeys to overcoming the difficulties in settling as an immigrant? Do you think of any threads that connect through the 150
Yeah,
stories?
when I think back on this, on a lot of the people I've interviewed, one of the three things I would say I've served them well is their circle.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is people that have spoken into their lives, people that have supported them, mentorship and sponsorship
Hmm.
has played key roles in their journey. They've
Mm,
had people who spoke for them in rooms where they were not present.
mm,
But those mentorship and sponsorship didn't just come because they did want to reach out to someone on LinkedIn and they just said, you know what, because I like your face, I'm gonna sponsor you or mentor you.
yeah.
But they built relationship with those people.
Mm,
They worked with those people, so those people are exposed to what they're capable of doing. So I would say mentorship is very, very important, and I want to put that in the box of relationship.
yeah.
Quality relationship with
Mm,
people. Invest in people.
mm,
Invest in giving over receiving. I know it's counterintuitive because people might say, "Oh, David, you're saying I should give. I don't have anything."
mm,
Trust me, you have a lot. You
yeah.
have a lot. You just need to listen more to the people you're talking to,
Right
and you
now,
would
you're
know
giving. Yeah.
yeah, you exactly. So you would know what they really need, right? Um, Sometimes it's just by telling them Eid Mubarak. For those people who are your friends who are Muslim, how
Mm,
many of them did you send an email to
mm,
or send a text message to
mm,
during the Muslim festival?
yeah.
Just because you're not a Muslim doesn't mean that
Yeah.
that won't go a long way.
Yeah.
That to some people is good enough, right?
That's true.
So I would say that mentorship and sponsorship has played key roles for them. Number one.
Mm,
Number two is their drive and hunger. Because
mm,
it's one thing to have people who want to mentor you. It's another thing for you to be hungry. It's another thing for you to have drive. It's another thing for you to be humble. You know, and humility in this sense is not you dumping down
yeah.
your value, but humility in this sense is being willing to listen to them,
Mm,
being willing to implement their advice and getting back to them.
mm,
It goes a long way, right? So you show a combination of those things, and these people have hunger, they have drive. I know that we live in a world where they say, oh, just do the barest minimum to get by. But unfortunately, the people that do the barest minimum don't actually go too far. It is
mm,
people who do the extra, who put in the extra, who go the extra mile, and are the ones that achieve the extraordinary. So I know it may sound counter, it may sound, it may not land well for some people that, oh, David, you're saying I should work hard, but trust me, hard work is still the recipe to success, any kind of success, really. So those people have demonstrated that, and they have also shown that. And the other thing is they have they are vulnerable.
mm,
There are people who are not afraid to own up to their mistake and say, I messed up.
mm,
I blew it. I made a mistake
mm,
and I need help. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength
yeah.
because it goes on to show that, okay, you understand your weakness and you are able to ask people who can supplement that weakness, who can help you along that journey. So I would say one, mentorship and sponsorship. Um, two, hunger,
Mm,
drive, and humility. And
mm,
three, vulnerability, like being vulnerable, um, and and talking about their weakness and asking for help.
mm,
A lot of the senior leaders are just like you and I.
yeah.
They're just like you and I. They are the best leaders I've spoken to are so humble, so kind,
Mm,
very, very friendly, very just amazing.
mm,
But if you don't know how to approach them, you may think, oh, this person is not just is just being snobbish or they don't care. They don't. Most of them are genuinely kind and very humble. Very. They don't believe that they are better off than the next person. You know.
yeah.
They're just genuine leaders are humble.
Wow. That is. Very helpful. Thank you for sharing those three insights, and I'm sure people will take them with you. One of the parts of moving to a different country that is a bit difficult for most people is finding community and
Mm.
extending that to finding love. You've done both since you moved here 10 years ago. So, what's that journey been like for you? How was it dating in Canada, and how did you
Dating in
how did you
Canada.
navigate that?
Well, I didn't. Dating in Canada was. I was honestly. I was very very broke. The first few
Financial,
years.
yeah.
Um. So I don't. And I was working. I wasn't making so much.
Hmm.
So I was. Like I said early on, I was working in a church, which is a not-for-profit Christian not-for-profit organization. And then I worked at a call center. So um, I didn't date. Dating for me was the experience wasn't the best. It wasn't pleasant. I didn't. I don't want to go into it. But fortunately, still in the process of actually trying to help someone. So um, I used to listen to podcasts by a young girl, and it's a Christian podcast. So she would talk about the Bible and all that. And then I saw that, okay, this person has good content, but their design, the banner design wasn't the best. So I reached out to her that, you know what, um, these are some of I just wanted to help to say, okay, do you know about Canva? Do you know about, Anchor, where you can, store your podcast? I just shared tools with her that, she can leverage to help a podcast. And then the third day, um, I spoke to her. We had a we had a um, um, we met in person to have the conversation, and genuinely, I just wanted to help her, and I moved on. And then we connected again. She called me the third day to give me updates on, oh, this is what I've done. Thank you. And then she asked me. She said, "Are you in a relationship?" I said, "No." She said, "Are you interested in being in a relationship?" I said, um, she said, "Am I actively looking?" I said, "No, I'm not actively looking, but I'm single." Then she said, "Oh," she said, "Why?" I said, "Because, I've been shown Pepe in the past. Like a lot of people have said no to me." And she just started laughing. And she said, "Oh, she can introduce me to someone." And I said, "You know what? Before you introduce me to someone, I hope that if you introduce me to someone and it doesn't work out, you won't stop fight. You won't stop. You won't fight me because I've had a situation where somebody introduced me to someone, and because the relationship didn't work, the person was mad at me as if, oh, because they introduced me to someone, I must marry the person, right?" And to me, I'm like, "Oh, you just introduced. I didn't sleep with her. It's not like I had any carnal knowledge of the. I didn't kiss her. I didn't even like. We just had a conversation, and I. It's not. I don't feel like you know, like we had conversations rather. But anyways, it didn't work. Like I didn't be in a relationship with the person, and the person was mad at me. And so I told her, I said, if it doesn't work, hope you're not gonna be mad at me. I said, why? Why would she be mad at me that she doesn't expect that it must work? So she introduced me to a friend who is now my wife today, and that was how the journey. And I told her, I even teased her for that. I said, I don't have money for date. Oh, I don't have money. She said, oh, don't worry, I will set up the date. So she set up the date in her house. She gave us breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So
Wait, the person who introduced you was the one who set up the date as well?
yes, in her house.
Look at that! Oh my god!
Yes. So she set up the date. I met her. We had a conversation. She said,
Wow.
I still ask her till today that what did she remember that I spoke about? She said the
Mhm.
only thing she remembered was I was just talking a lot. But she felt like what I was saying made sense because she's like,
Yeah.
this guy gets sense, so like this
Hmm.
guy, like, and
Yeah.
so um yeah, so that was how the journey, that was how I met my now wife.
Wow.
And looking back in the last 5 years of um, being with her, I'm grateful. Now I see, it's always they always say that
Hindsight
um,
is
my
2020.
hindsight is always 2020. Now
Yeah.
I see why those ones didn't work, because
Mhm.
she's just the best. She's an amazing, amazing human being.
Yeah.
Um, she's a brilliant, like she's just, and I'm not, I'm, I'm genuinely fine. It's been 5 years since we've been married. I
Yeah.
am actually very happy in my marriage. She's a
Wow.
really, really great woman.
So
And
good. Yeah.
so yeah, now when I look back, I now see, oh, I see why those ones didn't work, because it makes sense. In retrospect, I now see why those ones didn't work, because she's just an answer to my prayer. Like, she's just everything
Mm,
I wanted, everything I prayed for.
mm.
Amazing woman. She's very patient with me, very kind. She's gentle. She's just she doesn't make my life difficult.
Which is
Like, she's just a good person.
yeah.
So yeah, looking back, I just see, okay, now I see why those ones didn't work. So
Wow. What a journey. First of all, the person who introduced you is like me. That is my kind of person. That's
yeah, you probably you know her is Lola and Eniola. Those girls are just
I'm
they're
saying even
just
it is something I can do. Like, are you in a relationship? Are you sure?
those girls are amazing, man.
And then
Yeah.
moving along. Okay. Final question before I ask you to plug anything you want to plug, like any personal things. If you had the chance to talk to somebody now who is new to Canada, they're just trying to find their feet. What do you know now that you didn't know when you came that you'd like to pass on to them?
I wish I have genuinely genuine people who want me to succeed around me early on
Mm,
when I came. So I would say, please surround yourself with good quality people.
mm,
Not people who have the crab mentality, who want to pull you down, who will
mm,
tell you it's never possible. People like you can never achieve it.
mm,
Um, Surround yourself with good quality people. If you can't find
mm,
good quality people around you,
mm,
look for events. There's Tectio. Look for
mm.
events around you. There's Tectio. There's BPTN. There is COFP. Um, there is Ascend Canada. There is Fresh Start Hub. There
Yes.
is Making the Move.
Mhm.
I think they're also doing.
I'm doing it.
There is I'm doing it.
Mhm.
Join. Surround yourself with good people
Yeah.
that will help you thrive.
Mhm.
There are so many of them. Black Professionals Network.
Yeah.
Join those network.
Mm,
Build relationship with people there. Tell them exactly what you need. Tell them exactly what you're looking for. Tell them what you need help with.
mm,
There are so many people out there who want to help you more than the people that don't want to help you. Honestly, you just have to keep asking. People ask me, how do you get to interview a lot of these executives? I just ask,
mm,
and I don't give up asking. What's the worst they can say? They will tell me no, and I'll move on to the next person and to the next person. For example, you don't know the number of no's I've received today, right? And I'm still smiling, right? So it's just part of the journey. It's even what makes your journey more interesting, right?
mm.
Like, when I was chatting with the CEO of Deloitte Canada, and I mentioned it to him. I said I had over 300 no's, and the guy was like, "You're crazy!" Like that goes on to show that you're hungry,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And people want to help you. People that want to help you are way more than the people that
Yeah.
don't want to help you.
Yeah.
So just keep asking, keep asking. Don't
Mm,
let anybody tell you you can't do something. And
mm,
I'm not saying that to motivate. I'm not saying that to I'm saying that literally,
mm.
because I remember they've told me multiple things I can't do. And when I look back, I'm just like, it's just start.
Yeah.
Honestly, the magic happens when you put one step in front of the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just start. Like, that's honest. I know it sounds like, oh, that's what everybody says,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you, I'm a living example
Mm.
of just starting,
Wow.
of just putting one step in front of the other. Just keep going. It's really going to be tough, of course,
Mm,
but you just have to keep asking, keep knocking on doors,
mm,
keep. For example, you don't even know the number of request I've sent out today. Like I've turned the hand of a lot of people today to say, I need something. And I asked this one, he told me no, I'll go and ask the other person,
Wow.
until one person eventually said, oh yeah, we are working on it.
Mm.
Right? Like and the more you do it, the better you build the muscle. And it just be like, okay, like
Yeah.
it's just one of those things, right? So I would say quality people, surround yourself with quality people.
Mm.
And please, for the love of God, no matter how educated you are,
Mm.
you've listened to my story, you've heard all of the things we've said. If you don't believe it can happen for you, it
Mm.
won't.
Wow.
If you believe that, you know what, oh, this guy has said all these things, it sounds so easy. It sounds like his life is everything is just working out for him.
Mm.
Yeah, then you don't even know
Mm.
you don't even know me.
Mm.
But you have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
The best person that will believe in you is you.
Yeah.
You because we are all a lot of people, we are all busy, we're all thinking of ourselves, worried about we are human, we are inherently selfish.
Yes.
That's the nature. Like I don't think anybody will wake up tomorrow morning and the first thing they will pray about is God bless David.
Mm-hmm.
Was a nice guy. No.
Yeah.
They will first think about God bless me today. What am I going to eat? Where's my food? You think anybody? No, it's the truth. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that it would work for you,
Yeah.
even if when it doesn't make sense.
Mm.
I remembered when Stephen Harper was the prime minister, and I would tell even Christians, church members, and say back then that even if they are giving the last PR, they'll give it to me. People will laugh.
Mm.
People will laugh. I still told people last week, I said, do you know the guy standing in front of you is the most handsome guy in the world? They started laughing. Even Papa is laughing. But me, I believe it. I
Yeah.
am the
So
most
it was
handsome
just not
because no,
expected.
I know. No, don't worry. That's the no. Because you know why? Because number one, I'm created in the image of God.
Mm.
Number two, I carry the characteristics of God. When God created me, he said, let him have dominion,
Mm.
replenish the earth, subdue, multiply, and be fruitful.
Yeah.
Those are the five things that are part of my DNA.
Mm.
And God, I'm so handsome that even the Bible said, I am fearfully and wonderfully
Mhm.
made. He said, marvelous are your works. And so when they say marvelous is something, what does
Mhm.
that mean? Marvelous. Like you
Exquisite.
look at it and you are blown away. You're like,
Mm.
wow,
Yeah.
that's who I am. Like when I show up, people are like, wow.
Yeah.
So you have to believe it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, everything you've heard, you just be like, well, they've said it
As if
again.
bamboozling. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
David. Well, where can people find you to get more, to hear more of you, to support what you're doing, and to just connect with you? Where can they find you?
So they can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for David Ojeyinka
Yeah.
and Fresh Start Hub, www.thefreshstarthub.com.
Mm.
And if you're looking for someone that would go to the root of the matter
Mm.
and help your audience,
Mm.
um, with practical and real strategies and tips to help them navigate their journey or even succeed,
Mhm.
I'm your guy. So you can find me on Fresh Start Hub and you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Um, I'm not really good on Instagram, but LinkedIn,
It's
you
okay.
can
LinkedIn
find
is
me. Yeah.
sufficient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, David. This has
Thank
been
you so much.
exceptional, motivational, encouraging, and your story of resilience, I'm sure, will resonate with so many people. So thank you for
Thank
generously
you.
sharing. I appreciate your
Thank you.
time. Thank you for
Thank
saying
you.
yes to me and not being one of the
Thank you.
no's as well. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
you. What a story that was. I'm sure you've learned something from David's story. He's such an inspirational person and a friend that I am so happy to have. You know, I love when my family members know awesome people and bring them to me. This is a friend I acquired by my husband, and he's just an incredible man. Um, If you've listened to this so far to this point, it means that you will enjoy content from me. My name is Fapa Nkwacha, aka Fopsy. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, please leave us a rating or a review. If you're here on YouTube, please subscribe. Would love to have the community grow and help our message reach even more people. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for supporting. And there's more videos like this where this came from. Further stories of resilience, notes on love and relationships. And there's always something to learn when you come here. Thank you for being a part of the community. Thanks for watching today. Until next time, I'm Fopsy, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.